I'm recording now. Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Okay,
a
good.
rehearsal we did with Camden years ago. I think it was the Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. I'm not quite sure,
Yes.
but there was something going on like during one of the rehearsals, and
I don't
Camden
think
was
you were in that, Phil. You weren't in that.
No, I was in the room. I was in the
Okay.
room.
Okay.
But there was this moment when kind of someone was wandering over the back, and you said, "Why are you walking across the back like creeping Jenny?" And we all just tried to work out if this was a phrase or something that happened in your life or some kind of skin condition, and I've never quite worked out.
Oh God. I remember.
I don't know what it is either.
I do remember Empress very fondly, and I remember just after the opening night, I was woken up by my then boyfriend Andrew, and he had the papers, and he said it's not good. And I think everybody hated it, apart from all the people that saw it and said it was wonderful. Charlotte Keatley being one.
Did she? Well, Charlotte was actually a reviewer originally. She wrote for the Times. She was a reviewer for the Times. I think the London Times, or it might have been the Financial Times. But she got so fed up with the stuff that she had to review, and thought, I could write something better than this. So she did.
My mother said I never should.
Yes, that's it. And it's one of the standard sort of texts of women's writing. Of it's taught in schools and stuff, and it's constantly in production, or it was at that time, all over the world. Yeah.
I had a quite interesting moment a couple of years back. I was doing a production of a play about Joy Division called New Dawn Fades, and we did a little bit of a tour.
Yes, I remember seeing you then.
Right. Well, one of the places
London.
we did, one of the places we did was in Macclesfield, the Mads Theatre there, and it's just like downstage in the dressing room. I was just sitting there and I was looking. They've got a number of different little posters up of various people who have written productions there. And Charlotte Keatley's name was on one of them. One of the other ones was, of course, Helen Edmondson from Red Stockings, and Polly Teal, another girl from Manchester University who was in my year. So it was kind of a bit of a humbling experience. Oh, they've all gone on and done quite well for themselves.
Yeah.
They're all Manchester University, aren't they?
All of them, yeah.
They're all Manchester U, right? Okay, yeah.
Uni went on to great things. And at my time, Rick Mail, Nigel Planer, all that lot. And the young ones, I think, was based on all of that lot living in Didsbury.
No, it was actually a completely different group of people who lived in Didsbury, who I used to hang out with.
Okay.
And almost all of the characters are just like those people.
We lost you in a good pose. That's the important thing.
Yeah, he looks good.
Hang on.
This is the director shot for the bio.
You look noble and misunderstood and possibly Hungarian.
Let me just let me while Ricky's trying to sort that out. Where is Giles? He said he'd be here in a minute. Anyway, let me just ask Richard a question. What's the worst review you ever got, Richard?
I was then called David, not Richard. David Gallagher as the curate. Please ease up on your vocal strain for the sake of your own sanity and the audience's nerve ends. I remember that. That was in Murder at the Vicarage, where I was playing the curate. Ronnie Halls, I think he's called. What's your
Um,
worst?
The worst what?
What's your worst review?
Well, my worst review. Well,
Can't-
oh,
Last-
you're dropping out as well now. The one that caused me the most actual aggro was a review that Robin Thornber wrote. It wasn't actually a proper review of The Tempest, which Phil was in, and she's here. She's here.
Hello.
And he didn't actually do a proper review. He just did a roundup of the Manchester Festival that year. And he said about The Tempest that he said something like, I can't remember exactly, but he said something like it strains raw materials claim to professionalism. That was it. That was all he said about it.
Do you remember that meeting with? Can you hear me? Am I breaking up?
I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you remember meeting with the Arts Council that we have?
Yeah.
I kept telling me to shut up. I said we have to have the right to fail. If we are going to be exploratory and push things and get anywhere, then occasionally it might fail. And we have to
So it was you that said that, was it?
Yes.
You coined that phrase, because Rebecca was talking about that last time, or yeah, a few of us did.
I genuinely thought it was very important, and I think you should. If you are going to push boundaries, if you're going to get anywhere outside the nondescript, sometimes it's gonna bum.
Well, what happened with that review? I mean, the reason that review is so really annoying is not because of the review itself, but Lesley was doing the publicity for The Tempest, which we called Prospero at the Gates of Dawn.
Yeah.
And it was because it was a musical, it was a science fiction musical, using the music of Syd Barrett and Pink Floyd.
And King Crimson. Let's not forget that.
And King, yeah, all kinds of weird stuff. And Purcell, Henry Purcell. But that's actually, I was telling you last time, Phil, that's one of the reasons that Richard didn't want to do it, because he just didn't want to have anything to do with a science fiction rock musical version of The Tempest. It was like, it's just not his thing at all. He was out of it, and he was not alone in his in this opinion. So this guy wrote this
up until you, Camden, it wasn't anyone's thing.
It wasn't anybody's, exactly.
Yeah, you created a whole new genre.
No, I don't think so. But Lesley kind of did the publicity, and she decided to use a different quote from a review by a different Guardian reviewer, Lynn Gardner, the veteran Guardian reviewer, who's really nice, who always gave us nice reviews. And she used a quote from her, but from a different production. And I got a phone call from the Guardian, from the editor of the Guardian. Can't remember who it was, but phoned me up and said, I've got Robin Thornber here, and he's really fuming and he's really pissed off because you're using on your publicity a quote that he didn't say about your play. and we've spoken to our lawyers, and we have grounds for suing you. Now, what are you going to do about it? So, that was the kind of shit that we had to deal with.
Robin was always awfully kind to me. Liked him.
Good, good. Oh, there's somebody else here, but I'm not sure who it is. It's an iPad. I think it might be Jackie. I don't know.
It's Giles.
It's Giles.
Hi, hello. Long time.
Child,
Yes, that's me.
long time no see.
Yes, well, is that your actual host there?
The
Salad.
Campbell.
I see that tells me who is who there. Yes. Yes. Actually, in your case, Phil, not that long, only a month or so ago, because you were looking for a one actor piece that would be more interesting than your murder mysteries.
Yeah, I'm still in the same. I found a couple of things that are kind of like interesting.
Oh, good.
It's all one or two person. Well, this was before the kind of lockdown when theatre still existed. So we'll have to see what's going to happen for the next few years.
Well, you've noticed that the Fringe is rolling back in Manchester this month and next, haven't you?
Well, I've received a few communications, but I kind of think in the climate that exists at the moment, it's going to be really hard work.
I'm sure it's going to be hard, yes, but it is happening all right. I know. Yes, a lot of it at the King's Arms. What their COVID secure route's going to be, I don't know, but yeah. Yes, even more.
It's been a long time.
Yes, looks as though you're well set up, Richard.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
We're hoping Neil Rowland might join.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Yes, as I certainly haven't seen him at the theatre forever and a day. I thought he lived mainly by his camera now, but
He does. That's how he was.
yeah. Ah, well. Yes, it'll be interesting to see if he materialises.
Giles, we've often thanked you silently, and we should have done it personally, for Greater Manchester Theatre. We have all those copies, and it was a great time.
Yeah. Yes, presumably you saw the succeeding books, did you?
No, I haven't. I've been.
Really?
I
You haven't seen A Year in the Theatre? There's 13 of them. Yes, I think probably you'd appear in one or two of the early ones of them.
No, he is definitely in there. I've got a good few copies of them. Giles used to produce this incredible compendious kind of book every year in which he basically wrote down all the productions they'd seen, and in it was all cross references. You'd have the cast names, you'd have quite a lot of them, there'd be a review. It was absolutely magnificent. It was an incredible achievement. I kind of can't imagine how you managed.
Is Phil the only one with a Manchester address these days?
I think that's possible. Rikki, where are you living?
I'm in Brighton.
Yep, I'm the only one.
Yes, because I can put, if Phil gives me a drop-off point, I can put as many copies of the great work, because sending them down to you in whatever far-flung city you now live in, Richard. What?
I'm in Ruislip in London.
Ruislip, yes.
Oh,
Yes, sending them all by post be a hefty thing, but I can take them round by a bicycle to any drop-off point that Phil recommends.
Well, possibly look for one with Richard in, which will be going back to, because you moved away from Manchester quite early, be going back to the early 90s, won't it? So if Richard's in a copy, then kind of like just send him the one to whet his appetite.
Like
On the grass.
Do you remember Giles, Rikki?
I think so, but I can't remember exactly.
Greater Manchester Theatre magazine.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I tended to find myself in the last, when I was doing lots of work in the early 2000s, meeting all sorts of new people. And what happened was that whenever I mentioned Giles, none of them knew who he was, but they'd all heard his laughter. They'd all knew that there was this person who had seen their productions and they didn't have a face to put to it. And Giles was that man.
Yes, in the City of Drama, there's only Jane Gallagher, not a Richard, in this. Yes, Ravin's in here, of course.
Was that 94 City of Drama?
Yes, that was 94. Yes, that's right. Because I think the last communication I had from you, Richard, yes, you were off doing Prince of Morocco on the south coast somewhere.
That was very unhappy. I refer to it as the unpleasantness in Westminster.
Hey dear, yes, it means I don't know when you're. Yes, oh well.
That was for a man called Ian Dickens that I didn't like very much.
Yeah. Oh well, but you're still fairly active, are you, Richard?
I'm teaching now.
Oh yes.
I teach at a place called the Questers in Ealing, and I have adult students who I teach drama to, and I love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Very good.
Giles, can I ask you, when did your book start, this annual roundup of the theatre activity?
1993.
93. Were you actually a theatre goer before that period? We're covering the period back to 79 with a group called Public Spirit. Do you remember them at all?
The name rings a bell, but yes, I looked at your great work. Whether that would remind me of any production I'd actually seen of theirs, I don't know. Great work.
There was a thing called Moonchild, Tales from Newgate Calendar by C.P. Lee.
Yes. Aye. Yes, I again that rings a slight bell, but not. Yes, certainly I will see. Well, 79. Now I'd be out of the country up to 82. I was certainly seeing stuff in Manchester from 60. No, from 72 onwards. But yes, I wouldn't have the programmes anymore. They've all gone off to the Manchester Collection at Central Library. Yes, I did. Yes. So you're trying to gather together, yes, records of the programmes and things. Is that right, Camden?
Well, no, not really. I just anecdotal.
Oh yes, anecdotes.
Reminiscence, really. What's the earliest company that you can remember seeing, apart from the established repertory companies in Manchester?
Well, I suppose, which you probably wouldn't count as fringe at all, was very struck right back, I should think, in 72 or thereabouts by Manchester Youth Theatre. Yes, the sort of level that achieved. I'm having only sort of seen what was fairly pedestrian school play sort of stuff from youth before then, but the Manchester Youth Theatre was one which showed you could achieve at a far higher level. Yes, you're looking for small non-building based companies, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Goodness knows what the first of one of those I might have seen would.
Do you remember? Do you remember the Wally Range All Stars?
Oh yes, yes, certainly. Saw several things of theirs. All right. Yes. Yes, certainly saw. Yes, I get the impression that these days they exist, but they're less theatrical. They're more artistic. Would that be true or not?
Yes, it would.
Yes, and yes, and they seem to be sort of moving towards merging with that company, which is even more artistic rather than theatrical now. One of the ones based in that mill near Leeds, where Northern Broadside and various others base themselves. Can't remember the name of it at the moment. Yes.
IOU?
Yeah.
IOU Theatre? IOU
What?
Theatre? IOU Theatre.
Yes, correct. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're based, yeah, they're based in that area. Yeah. Near Leeds, yeah.
Yes, and I think the last dramatic thing of theirs I saw had whatever her name is, the the female sort of main person in Wally Range. What?
Sue Orty.
Yes, yes, I think she was performing in that. Yes, that's the name. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you remember a company called Theatre Total?
It's certainly a name I can remember, though.
They were called something. Weren't you called something else, Rikki, before Theatre Total?
Yeah, before that it was called something else, but I can't remember what it was.
Let me look it up.
Yes,
something
in the,
something stupid, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, let's.
Oh.
I think, Rikki, you, I think it was you, changed my view of theatre.
I should bloody well hope so.
I think you changed everybody's view of theatre, didn't you?
It seriously was so important to me.
Right.
11th House.
That's it. Yeah, I knew it was something stupid.
The 11th House Theatre performed The Fall of the House of Usher.
That's it. That's
Did
it.
you see that?
I saw it.
I think I was in it, mate.
11th House is a good name. It's like a reference to a book that you've not read, and you think it makes you feel stupid.
It changed everything because I was about to sign a contract with the Royal Exchange Theatre, and I thought, no, I don't want that. I want a bit of this.
Yeah, we had a laugh, didn't we? It was good fun.
And I came sat on your doorstep till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, I remember consistently ringing the doorbell.
There isn't a class in the next show, and I said, write me one. And you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to write him a part in their show.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's kind of the way these things worked, really, in those days.
Yeah.
Giles, do you remember Pan Theatre, the Pan Theatre Company in the Thompson's Arms?
Yes, I saw 2 or 3 plays there. Yes, yes, I certainly remember a few of those. Yes, they'd be very early, wouldn't they? Yes.
The 80s.
What?
The early 80s.
If it was in that slot, it would be, yes, in either 82 or 83.
Yeah.
That, yes. Yes, I certainly did see 2 or 3 plays there, yes, of which I do sort of have. And one's slightly confused in my mind because the main woman in it was also performing at the Library Theatre Company at the time, and certainly I think the library play, it might have been in Flying Blinds by yes, the from a Liverpool director and sometimes writer. So I'm thinking if what she did in Pan Theatre was also Irish inclined, I don't know. Aye. Yes. Yes, and again, that's one for which the programmes would now be in Central Library. But
Right.
yes.
Great. What are the memorable shows that you remember?
Much in the way of anecdotes, I don't know.
What shows stick in your mind from that time?
From that time, yes, I don't know if you count the Midsummer Actors and Outdoors, whether I'm certain several of those were very memorable, a very good Green Knight play that was done up at Park Bridge, sort of on the border between yes, Oldham and Ashton. Yes, and yes, they did quite a few Shakespeares as well. Yes, so certainly some of their productions are memorable, all right. Yes, one or two of your raw material ones. You did the version of the race to the pole, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Across a dirty piece of canvas.
What?
I used to call
Don't
it.
take any notice of him. He's just a bitter old actor. It was a wonderful play written by Norman Leach, who was a very good playwright. But he was it wasn't a great.
He died, didn't he?
He was untimely ripped from this earth. Yeah, that he had very good ideas, and the idea of that play was that the race to Antarctica, to the South Pole, would be contrasted between the two teams that were doing it, with the English team and the Norwegian, and that the actors on stage would play both teams. They would switch from one to the other.
Yes, that's
very,
right. Because,
very clever idea. Yeah.
Yes. On the other hand, I had seen it before you did it, when they were just starting the Royal Exchange's Mobile Theatre,
Yeah.
And they had a script in hand performance.
Yes.
And they contrasted the two teams right from the first go, that that Scott's English team was sort of in a narrow formation with Scott standing quite clearly at the front and everyone subordinate to him. Whereas the Norwegian team was sort of just a rather shapeless body of mates getting on with things together.
Yeah.
Yes, and I sort of rather noticed that your production sort of rather missed that sort of early way to indicate that contrast. Yes, you did that at the Edgar Wood Centre, didn't you? Or was that where you did it? The Race to the Pearl?
Yes, I believe so. We did it. We toured it to various venues around. I think we had Northwest Arts funding. I'm not sure. I think so.
About 3 years.
But we certainly did a Northwest tour. Yeah. And Richard played Scott.
I loved it. Loved it.
What year was this, Camden? What year?
What year would that be?
4, 5, something like that.
Would it be as early
In
as
80?
83?
No,
No, it wouldn't. And it would
No.
be, then it would be after, it'd be 86, 87, that sort
Yeah.
of time.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it would have been.
Yeah, it was after we did Greek, because I know we did Greek in 84, and I remember seeing it. I remember you were doing it after that, so it would have been about 85, 86.
85. Yeah.
Because Greek extended was started in 84, I think, and then extended in to 85 and 86, because we had a huge tour with it.
Yeah.
I
remember that.
Was that Greek the one that
Stephen Burkoff.
George Usil? Yes, I know Burkoff, but George Usil was.
Yes,
he emerged as George Dillon.
Yes, he was in it. I was the director of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started the company with him. He was in that, and
Was Denise in it as well?
yeah,
Yes.
Denise was in it,
Yes.
and then
Fabulous.
yeah, it went on for about 3
Yes,
years.
and that
It went
was
on.
that was certainly a memorable production. Did you more or less do, or was it others more or less did the sort of Burkov canon as it was then, East and?
Well, the ones I directed Greek, The Fall of the House of Usher. I did East elsewhere, and I did Decadence at the New End Theatre in Hampstead to celebrate Stephen Burkoff's, because I think he opened it there originally, and I directed a production there. I think it was its centenary or something a bit like that. I was asked to direct it anyway, and then it was so I did Decadence.
I have to pitch in here. I wrote a play called Bloodsports, which
Yeah, I remember that.
Called what, Richard? I'm afraid your microphone's very hard to hear from this end.
I wrote a play called Bloodsports,
Bloodsport.
which was on at the Drill Hall in London. And I was trying to cast the older gentleman, and my friend Nikki said, Stephen can do it. I was directing, and she actually got Stephen Burkoff to read for it. I was terrified. He didn't in the end do it.
He did not.
No.
No.
Not because he disproved it or anything. He was doing the film, but I thought, thank fuck for that. I don't have to direct Stephen Burkle.
With Steve, it's easy. All you need to do is say, "Do this, or I won't give you any cocaine," and he's like a pussycat.
Right. Well,
Stephen Burkoff in 1977. I remember seeing him in those days, and we all kind of thought, "Oh my God, this is the new face of the theatre." But I mean, in the last few years, kind of, he didn't really live up to the promise, I'm afraid.
No, I don't think so either.
Anyway,
But it
let's
was
get
good.
back. Let's get back to the Manchester Fringe
Yes.
Theatre. Anything else that sticks in your mind, Giles, about of the those marvelous years? We're going up to 94 actually, which just arbitrarily because it was City of Drama and that was the sort of highlight of the Manchester sort of thing. But anything you remember about that time?
Well, there was one City of Drama thing which included some of your Fiona Watson was in a play staged at the dance house that year, and certainly I can remember that. Oh, hello, we've got a new visitor.
It's Lesley.
Oh,
Lesley is here.
Lesley has entered the building. 94 was the year that I think I did the Clayman. I think it was in 94.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did. You did at Upper Campfield Market.
That's right.
Rikki, yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It was 94. Wow.
Yes.
That was epic, that thing.
Yes, which I can remember a certain amount about that. Yes, and I'm reminded by the book that Kevin Fegan was your script on that, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was actually a devised show. And
Devised, yes.
So he was in the devising.
He was in the devising, yes.
Yeah,
I think
he was in the devising
you and
process.
he get equal
yeah.
ish billing on that, yes. Wherever we are.
Yeah, we got a lot of funding for that. And I remember at the last minute, there was a problem with some funding because I can't remember if it was the Arts Council or the City of Drama itself had made a mistake with their figures, and they suddenly said, we don't have enough money to give you to complete your rehearsal process. And I remember thinking, for fuck's sake, because I'd ordered a lorry full of earth to be delivered and it had to be picked up, and there were all sorts of extra expenses.
Yes, because I must say, as I remember the City of Drama, there was sort of much less locally originated work, such as the Clayman in it. There was a lot of whatever you call it.
All those people coming up from
imported.
London.
Yeah.
What, sorry?
All those people coming up from London. Bloody Southerners.
Yeah.
Well, and a certain amount of yes, right. Nick Hearn, the chap who tends to print play scripts. I was soliciting him to see if he'd be interested in being a publisher for a year in the theatre. And he said, well, I did see a copy when I came up and saw whatever it is during the festival. But of course, I said, will you be coming up again? He said, well, no, most of it will come down here or go to Brighton or wherever, yes. Yes. Yes, I thought that we could have been City of Drama on the strength of what we created locally. I'm certainly as a place that you could see World Theatre as well. Yes, because there was that very sort of overwrought, I think, Norwegian Peer Gynt sort of filling up the whole of the Palace Theatre and other things that came in from abroad, I think, which was fair enough. Yes, because they ran.
What was the thing that Fiona was in?
Where are we? What am I doing? What am I doing? It was at the dance house, wasn't it? Where are we? There's dance house.
There was something I did for Bill Hopkinson. I can't remember. What was it called? Olwyn, the Song of Olwyn I directed for him.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yes. Well, I saw that whether
When was that?
when they were having all the Northwest Playwrights festivals at Contact, that whether he was dissatisfied in not getting it in for a full production, but he insisted on doing it as a an additional performance after the main one of the evening. The Song of Olwyn, yes, all the swinging about on the chains and so forth. But looking for, where are we? The thing that Fiona Watson was in, which I'm pretty certain.
I think we were all at the vanguard of something very important. My preparation for this had been Rep Theatre, Agri Christie, Alan Ayckbourn, and whatever. And then, and I will say, Rikki, it was you who suddenly made me aware that something exciting to do. And
Well, we should do it. We should do it again, all of us, before.
I agree.
I think we should do so. I mean, yeah, we could easily do that if we decided we wanted to do it.
Rikki, to the rest of you, also directed a clown show that I did.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, with Rob, he was a nice guy. What happened to him?
Great guy. I don't know. But he said, "Can you motorcycle? Can you fire this, Rikki? Can you fire? Can you? No. So we built the entire clown show on things that we didn't do."
That they couldn't do. We built the whole show on this idea. They didn't have any skills. I remember that. It's quite funny. Things that you can't.
Lesley, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. How are you doing?
How's it your end?
We're flooding at the moment, but apart from that, everything's gorgeous.
I thought you might be.
Yeah.
A lot of rain. You live on the river.
Yeah, I couldn't get onto here. I don't know, on my laptop. Maybe we'll talk about that another time, but
Okay.
I can get it on my phone, but not on the laptop for some reason. But anyway.
Sounds as if you don't need a laptop, you need a boat.
Well, yes, I need an ark.
Be a lot faster to get over on a boat.
Yeah.
Lesley, Giles is here.
I know. I wanted to see Giles. Well, just say hello and listen to his lovely voice.
And his lovely laugh as well, which is
there he is.
very well known.
You don't look any older, Giles. That's amazing.
Are you saying he looked old to begin with?
I mean, that was always the thing that people used to say about Fred Astaire, isn't it? Because he looked very old when he was really young. It's a bit appalling to see him working opposite Audrey Hepburn in Funny Lady. It just makes you feel uncomfortable. Funny face, sorry.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you've given me a graphic image that I won't be able to put out of my mind now. Thank you.
Oh,
What I'm here for.
Dark Perversity of Chameleons, Camden, was the name of the piece that was done with Fiona Watson in it.
Really?
Yes. And whether it was a one-off, Our Toad's Blueprint is the name they did themselves under at that time.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
What year was that?
That was in your actual City of Drama in 1994. Yes. Contained a wonderfully memorable monologue of all the things that might put into a manifesto for a political party, including stopping Italians shooting migrating wild birds and so forth, which of course is a perfectly reasonable objective. It just sort of came out as an odd concatenation of stuff at the time.
Well, of course, Fiona was one of the great figures of the Manchester Fringe Theatre. She was originally in Public Spirit, and she was one of the founder members, I think.
Yeah, she was.
And
yeah, she was.
She subsequently worked with a lot of the other companies. Did you ever work with her, Rikki?
I did on several shows. I'm still in touch with her actually, and I asked her along to this, but she was going. I think she was abroad. I can't remember, but she couldn't make it. Which was a drag. But I'm still in touch with her.
So I saw her just a couple of years ago in a piece they did at a public baths in Salford in Upper Broughton. Yes, she was a sort of link character in that who'd been prescribed to come and get some exercise to help with her mental condition by her doctor, and so wandered through the various changing rooms and exercise places and eventually regained her confidence by helping to actually rescue somebody in the pool at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share a memory about Fiona?
Karibu.
Yeah.
Obviously we all knew her really well, but I'm always really grateful to her because I had the opportunity, because normally I worked on the periphery of shows, so either costumes, set, posters, whatever, and a bit of pouncing around on stage occasionally. But I had the opportunity to write and produce a show, probably for Manchester Theatre. I don't know what it was for. It was like a showcase thing, and it was like a 5, 10 minute, 15 minute maybe, I don't know, something. It was at the Green Room.
What was it called? Because I think I've got an article. I've got a photograph of you in a big dress. You've just jogged my memory.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't me performing. This is the thing. It was Fiona was playing me.
Oh right, okay.
It was called Father, FAR, and then THER. It was about the death of my father, and Jeff Noon helped me put it together for the stage. Steve Curtis helped obviously with. There was some really quite difficult technical things with it.
Right.
And Fiona played me in it. as a sort of growing up as a child and then dealing with the death of my father. So I can't remember what it was like. A showcase of all sorts of loads of different people's work at the green room.
What was the other thing I'm thinking of then? There's something else with you in a huge dress.
That was Mike Mayhew, I think, at the town hall. And I had this dress that just trailed behind me, and I was like the protagonist in a show with women throwing themselves around and screaming and doing mad stuff. No, not that one. Black dress.
I can't remember. I'll have to find the photograph for next time we talk.
Giles, do you remember seeing Lesley in anything?
Can you I certainly didn't see the Mike Mayhew piece. I'm pretty certain.
Do you remember Invasion of the Cliches?
I'm pretty certain. I never saw that. No, I never saw.
You were the lucky one, Giles. You were the lucky one.
Darling.
Damn. Did you see an actress called Denise Evans?
Yes, many times. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, many times.
What did
Quite
you see
often
there?
in these Berkhoff pieces and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see Decadence?
Yes, I'm pretty certain I saw Decadence. I think down at the library. I could be wrong. Yes.
The Brick House.
Yeah.
The Brick House.
God, they did. Decadence was another one which they milked for quite a while, wasn't it? Like Greek, really.
Yeah.
Milked is not pejorative. They did for a long time.
I mean, I think they did a great job. They did as far as I know, even Berkhoff thought it was a definitive version.
Yeah, he did. I remember that. Yeah.
But there was a point I remember kind of thinking, oh, I wish they were doing something else now.
Yeah. I agree.
We did things. Invasion lasted for 4 years, 5 years. I can't remember.
No, it didn't. We did it for
Make it
6
out.
months.
4 weeks.
4
We
days.
did it at the Green Room, and then we did it at the Abraham Moss Centre, and that was it.
It just seemed like 4 years.
It seemed like that. Now, Giles, when did you start the magazine?
4 or 5 years.
The magazine, well, that yes, the first issue was beginning. It was only it was 89. It began in March 89 and was dead by November 89. Yes.
So it was just a few issues, one a month, was it?
With a gap over the summer, yes, there were just 9 issues of it. Yes, just 9. Yeah. Yes, of course, it did have the script of your Invasion of the Cliches in it.
That's right.
Yes, I may have been the last one to get in. I think. Neil Rowland, I think, thought there was space for other things rather than scripts. That could be.
Why did you start the magazine, and what was the inspiration for that, and why did you think there was that we needed a Manchester theatre magazine? Because you have plays and players and stuff like that.
Oh well, yes, but you would occasionally get a Manchester article in Plays and Players or wherever. No, it was the sheer fecundity of the amount of and variety of excellent work being done in Manchester, and needed to be preserved because basically it would vanish. So certainly that was my, and also, which what I hoped was that it would also give the theatre makers of Greater Manchester an opportunity to say what they thought they were up to. I'm not sure it ever did very much of that, but for my inspiration, yes, the idea was to preserve and to express. Yes,
I remember writing an article about Vox Theatre, I think it was, who did a production of the Revengers tragedy, a Jacobean revenge tragedy. And that was published in your magazine, and I don't think it would have been published in any other magazine. I'm not sure, really. But then, of course, there was City Life as well, which also sort of covered theatre to a certain extent.
I thought Neil in the Greater Manchester Theatre allowed us to say what we thought, and frequently they sent me to things that I wouldn't like.
Mm-hmm.
That apparently I was funnier when I didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that people like Richard, the people that the theatre magazine sent out to review plays, were not had a different perspective. They were not invested in the established theatre in a way that people like Robin Thornburg and other reviewers were, and particularly the reviewers of the Manchester Evening News, I might say, who were particularly obnoxious to fringe theatre companies.
Completely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Camden. What a bunch of fucking bastards. Yes, yeah. I remember them.
And it was great to have a magazine that you could get a review, and they would review you fairly. They would review you in the sense that, okay, well, here's this company that has very little funding. Then, you know, can't spend £1,000 on a costume like the Royal Exchange do.
Yeah.
And review you in that sense, you know, to what they've done, it's great, and not kind of look down on you and say, oh, you're not as this, you know, the professional. Why did the magazine fold, Giles?
Well, it was never either marketed appropriately, distributed appropriately, or yes, building up an advertisership. Yes, so it was. Yes, I was much too inexpert at gathering together what needed to be done in that regard. Yes, so it never came in a million miles of being financially viable.
Also, Camden, it had a crease down the middle.
I was just thinking the same thing. That's how it was folded, in the middle.
A particular portrait, do you think, you know? What are you thinking of in the way of being folded down the middle? Or is it a particular photograph that?
The centre fold. Yeah, I mean, Phil wanted to be in the centre. In the centre fold.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
He didn't want to have a staple through his nipple.
Yes, well, whether Neil Relman would have warmed to that idea, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean,
exactly.
You're still in contact with him, though, are you, Camden?
Richard is in contact with Neil.
Mhm. Yes.
In fact, Richard invited Neil to this meeting. Oh,
Mhm.
He was
Rebecca's
a bit
here.
not doing it.
Rebecca. Watch out. She's coming.
Steady on, steady on. Right, I'm going. See you later, guys.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
She's arrived and to prove it, she's here, yes.
Yeah, I might be going as well.
I think I might as well.
One.
Just before you go, Richard, is this just because I saw Theatre Total when I first met Camden, it was in the Buxton Festival in the early 80s, and I saw a production there. I know Rikki was in it. I met Camden. I think you were in it, weren't you, Rivca?
Most likely.
And you were the baby, is that right, Richard?
Yes.
Is
No,
this
I
the
was
full?
the baby.
Have I got the
I
full
was the
cast here
baby.
now?
No,
You have. I was the baby.
Oh, you were the baby.
Richard was the mother.
It's a long
I
time
was
ago.
the policeman, not
I-
the woman, and the baby.
Oh,
There we
you've got that. You've
Wow.
got.
are.
It's a long time ago.
And
Where
we
In
love,
another country.
Wow.
we love
Where is that picture?
It's in the
Giles's possession.
article.
I have pictures.
Yeah.
It's in,
on
it's in a
Camden's
copy of Giles
article.
magazine.
Oh, it's in that. Is it? Oh, right, okay.
It's in my article. The article
this
I
is-
wrote for Giles's magazine in 1989. That photograph, and I think it was given to me by Rikki.
Yeah, I think I
He was
took
now
it.
asking where it's from.
You took it.
I probably got it somewhere in a box.
Yes, yes, yes.
A load of stuff. Okay, that's really funny.
Giles, you are an archive of everything, aren't you?
Me, no. Most of the paper I've had has gone to Central Library.
Wow.
Yes, I know. I essentially, the purpose of the magazine was intended to be, and of the book was certainly meant to be archival. Yes, it was certainly meant to be archival. Yes,
So,
it didn't keep an eye on them going long enough.
Thank you for doing all that.
Yeah. When did you start doing the book then? So the magazine folded in November '89, and the book
The
started
book was in 1993.
I'm surprised it's as late as that, because I'm sure that you included some stuff from the Chapman Theatre, which
Oh
I
yes,
thought
plenty of stuff from
which
the
I
Chapman.
thought was in around 92. So that's really surprised me.
Well, yes, the 93 book does include some stuff. The content starts about October 92.
Right.
But
Right.
no, but the Chapman, I'm pretty certain, was going longer than that. Yes, because of course the Salford content changed out of all recognition during the period of the book, thanks to the Lowry. Yes, Salford used to be one of the smaller. Yeah. Yes, there's the Chapman during the City of Drama, all right. And I'm pretty certain, yes, that there's both an Othello with Brian Morgan later than that at the Chapman, and yes, I think there'll be some more years of that. Phil, if I get some copies of the book to a place that you can designate, are you able to get them to the rest of the people on the screen? People like Richard who are wanting
I can
them.
get them. Obviously, I can get them to Rivca
Rivca,
easy enough, because we have
You've already
mutual
got.
friends.
If
I
you're
could
in
hold
the-
on to them for Camden. Yeah, I see him every now and then. I haven't seen Lesley in years.
Rivca,
Richard, I
did
thought
you
was.
know your microphone was muted?
I didn't know. Is it?
We can get them to each other, of course. Easy.
Well, if you give me an address and let me know how many copies you want, I've Yes, I've got at least 200 copies of every edition, I should think.
Actually,
Fine. Okay. Well, I'll get a box of each edition, and probably take me more than one delivery. But on the other hand, yes, I'm well, I ride about by bicycle anyway, but was doing a lot during the early stages of lockdown while the swimming pool was closed. And nowadays it's only intermittently open at times I can get. So I'll be naturally cycling around your area.
okay.
So I'll start delivering as soon as I may.
So you're
Very
still on
good.
your bike, Giles? You're still on your
What?
bike? You're still on your bike?
Yes, still on the bike. If you're thinking of Honda bike,
No, your push
no.
bike.
If
your
you're
push
thinking
bike.
of pushing bike, yes. Oh yes, I'm still on the pushing bike.
That's amazing. Well done, you.
I was amazed to hearing some dancers discussing recently, Rivca, even at places like the Royal Ballet, the practice up to only a couple of decades ago as soon as you came off stage was to dash and get a cigarette, which I'd have thought for a dancer would be a bit taxing, but apparently
I was really surprised when I moved first to Manchester and I did classes with the what's it then called, what was the ballet company called that was based at the Zion?
Ballet
well, it used to be
Northern
called
Ballet.
Manchester
Northern Ballet. Northern Ballet.
Thanks, Lesley. Northern Ballet. Yes.
Yes, that then became
Most
Northern.
of them were smoking like troopers. I mean, any time in between, you go off and smoke. And I did notice that in the rest of my dance career, how much smoking and dancing seemed to be quite a combination. I still don't know how. I stopped smoking last December. Finally.
Good.
Not good for the lungs. My lungs are really fucked. But yeah. I don't know, Giles, why dance and smoking seems to be quite closely connected.
Peter Bausch died of lung
Well,
cancer.
just about anything in smoking used to be connected. I was amazed listening again to when you're too young to have listened to Journey into Space on the radio, were you? And when they were originally broadcast in the mid-1950s, I hadn't picked up when they're all shaken up after first taking their Operation Luna, blasted off from Australia to go to the moon, they say, oh, yes, I think we've enough for one cigarette each. There's enough oxygen for that, isn't there, Doc?
Oh, lovely. I don't know if you've ever seen the Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau film, The Fortune Cookie. Yeah. I think it's a Billy Wilder film. It's a great scene when they're in the hospital and it's like he's had this little bit of an accident on the playing field. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau is a crooked lawyer and he's trying to get money out of the out of some company. So he's making him pretend that he's got this neck injury. And it's just like everyone in the room, they're all smoking away. He's smoking, the lawyer's smoking, the doctor's smoking, the nurse is smoking. And it doesn't look unnatural at all. It's like absolutely perfect for the time.
Yes, well, it used to be, because when they gave me what's a much speedier operation these days, a barium meal, barely amounted a meal to look at my innards recently, and I said to them, well, the last time I was being shown an X-ray of this, which would have been only sort of 1983 or so, so I remember the doctor standing by the screen, having his cigarette in his hand.
He was probably being worse affected by the X-rays.
Aye. Yeah.
What, Giles? What's the attraction of theatre for you? What made you go to so many productions and sit through. I mean, you must have sat through some pretty awful stuff. But there, you turned up and you sat through it.
Well, I never went to anything out of duty, anything I didn't think I'd see some chance I'd be interested in and enjoy. Yes, so yes, I'm more or less a Manchester convert to theatre. I'd seen a bit earlier, but ballet and later for film. But I think probably it's just a sort of form of human excellence, really. Yes, things being done well, whether physically or in the writing or handling of ideas or, yes, no, I think probably it'd be as general as that.
So you didn't see everything?
Oh, no. I'm pretty certain I didn't see Invasion of the Cliches.
It's never too late, stage it again. Do you actually know what you didn't see, Giles? Have you got a list of the things you...
No.
That could be quite fun, actually, an archive of what I didn't see.
And something I never knew, and I've always wanted to ask you, Giles, is what your background was, because I may have been told, but I can't remember. What was your journey before you came to be turning up at all the shows that we were producing in Manchester? What were you doing beforehand, before that?
Well, I was born about 30 miles away on the corner of Delamere Forest. I came to live in Manchester after my first lengthy stretch of teaching in Africa in Sierra Leone, which for the first half of my life was my great enthusiasm. When I came in 72, it was the first time thinking that I was leaving Africa for good, after doing a bit of study at the university and then going into teaching here and doing it pretty badly up in Oldham. There was then the chance to go on to Tanzania. And when I came back from there, thinking that was the end, yes, but by that time I was already seeing quite a bit in Manchester of the theatre. But yes, that'd be the background. I was originally a history teacher in Africa. Yes.
Wow.
Were you all born fully formed from the head of Zeus, were you? You were in theatre from the...
Giles, do you remember a company called Quantum Theatre? Did you ever see any of their productions? There was
I'd be more likely to remember a name of a production.
there was a production they did of a play by Edward Bond called Human Cannon. It was the premiere of Bond's play Human Cannon, and it was in about 1985. It was in 1985.
Yes, I'd have been around. I know some Bond play that they did, I think, and he was there in person for it.
Yeah.
I think it was at the dance house, wasn't it? But what was the sort of matter of the human canon?
It was about the Spanish Civil War.
Oh well, that wasn't the British.
Wasn't it Dan Baron? Wasn't it Dan Baron Cohen who directed that?
Yeah.
I did the costumes for that.
It was 85, you're saying.
Yeah, 85.
Yes, it wouldn't.
Who was it, Lesley?
Humpty.
It was Dan Baron.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't have. Yes, no. 85, I was out of the country. Yes, I was in Zimbabwe for 84, 85. Yes.
It was Dan Baron Cohen. So whatever that comedian's brother. What's he called? The comedian.
Sacha
Baron Cohen's brother.
Yeah, the brother. Wow.
Yeah,
yes,
his brother.
I saw his.
He was working with Bill Hopkinson as well.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing the costumes for it. I seem to remember, because Bill was heavily involved with it because he was friends with Dan.
Incidentally, on Phil Hopkinson, I presume he's alive and well and teaching at Edge Hill, all right, is he?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. As this I was alive because a friend of mine who I see regularly for swimming, who lives at the Hume Mansions that Bill had a good deal for doing for building, and she was saying this niece of hers was acting with a yard company somewhere up on Cheetham Hill, and I said, "Oh well, you've got a yard at these Hume buildings yourself, haven't you?" And she said, "Oh, Bill." I said, "Did you know Bill Hopkinson?" And she said, "Oh, he's dead, isn't he?" I said, "Surely not."
No,
I don't know.
he lives in Liverpool.
Huh?
He lives in Liverpool and he works at, or he was working at
Edge Hill, was it?
At Edge Hill, yes,
Hill,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, and he I saw him direct a play for Mary B or whatever. Yes, a couple of years ago. Yes, so far as I knew. Yes, he was saying they got a very active visiting theatre program at Edge Hill College Theatre as well, apart from the work they were doing in-house.
Did you see anything? Did you see anything at the yard, Giles? Because we
yes,
did.
I saw several things there. I think the last one was the one in which you were a police officer who failed to prevent an Irish suspect getting beaten up.
Rat in the Skull.
Yes.
Yeah.
And were you in the Macbeth there as well?
That was the first production that was done there. Yeah, with Camden.
Yeah.
And it was just such an awful space to work in. I mean, in fact, the only thing I can think of that I was in that worked was Rat in the Skull, but that's because it's meant to be set in a H block, and it's meant to be set in Paddington Green detention centre. So it worked perfectly for that.
Two things I saw there that seemed to fit perfectly well was both the play they did about the Strange Ways strike, and then also I saw a Weird Company do a 1984 there, and again it worked. Yes, it seemed a sort of slightly odd space to have created all of a purpose, but it seemed to me to work all right at the yard. Yes, yes, saw two or three other interesting things there. Or yes, one which being so tall, men should incorporate quite a bit of an aerialist sort of swinging about the place. Worked perfectly well.
You still see things now, even maybe on Zoom or other means of online?
No, I'm not so keen on online, and I was wondering if I was missing great things by not going to the relays of the stuff from the National Theatre and the Royal Shakespeare and so forth. But having now seen a few extracts from that, which, as I go to a play reading group on Monday mornings, and since that's gone Zoomified, they've been putting in extracts from some of these relayed productions from the great theatres. It doesn't seem to me, certainly on a small screen, to work at all well, those productions. No, so I've just been, now that your actual Manchester Fringe is, that I'm booking stuff even for next week, down at the King's Arms and so forth. Yes, I hope to be. By and large, I can only manage matinees or very short stuff if it's in the evening, because I know we'll be dropping out of this wonderful meeting soon. Because
one other venue that I can actually recommend, Giles, is the Talleyrand in Levenshulme. It's a little bar at the front, and they've turned their back space into a sometimes theatre, and it's kind of I've seen a couple of good things there.
Yes, you've been in one or two, haven't you? Yes,
that's right.
I met Sue Janes, aka whatever she is, Wormersley.
Yes.
Yes, saying she'd been directing you down there. I suspect that'll be all evening performances there, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I do get to one or two things at the Edge in Chorlton, and usually sort of feel, well, this really was a little bit too late for me by the time I was back, even from.
Please, when you drop those books off, please put your email and stuff in there, because if there are other things that might begin to happen again, indoor, outdoor, and preferably not at 10 at night, I'm hearing, but like more earlier, the sort of early evening, then I can email you of things when they begin again.
Oh, I see. Yes, there's quite a lot of. Where are we?
This is one of the things, Camden. It's quite a testament to the work that people put in the 80s, because in the last 10 20 years there's been a lot more purpose venues for fringe theatre in Manchester than there ever was before. And I remember trying to book places with Trevor and Simon back in the early 80s, and there wasn't anywhere you could do it. It was like pubs and things, but that's all become so much easier in the last few years. And one of the things, because like a couple of weeks ago we were talking and we were having this reminisce about all these old companies, and I was kind of thinking it'd be really good to reminisce about all these old venues that have all disappeared that we once performed in, that no longer there.
Celebrate all the new ones. Now that you've said, Phil, I remember seeing something maybe 4 years ago at one of the mills.
Hope Mill?
Maybe it was Hope Mill, but yeah, I was very surprised that there was something on in the mill. It was a piece of.
Oh, well, yes, they've got their sort of full-scale rent coming up, and that's already in rehearsal, and apparently it's sold out already. Wow. It's going to be on most, yes.
Yeah, I was really impressed, actually, and I really liked the space as well. So that was nice to see.
Yes, they use it in all configurations, the space they've got there at Hope Mill. Yes, and of course they do have small scale productions there, but And you'll have been to quite a bit at 53 under the arch before they sort of diagonally across the road from Britain's Protection, which of course will be one of the grand old fringe venues that Phil will be thinking of.
We'll be under Thompson's arms.
Yes.
Lunchtime theatre at the Thompson's arms.
I used to like the room upstairs at the Thirsty Scholar as well.
Yes.
Anything upstairs in daytime. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on here, Giles. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's really good to have you around. And something I wanted to say was like, whenever all the shows were on, I remember at the Green Room in particular, that I don't know about anybody else, but I always looked, before a show went on, we always looked round to see if Giles was in the audience, because we knew that we'd get support from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Well, no, it's a pure pleasure being able to see so much interesting stuff. Yes. Yes, it's of course one of the things about taking over the year in the theatre books was that it did mean, because did realise it needed some sort of description of the productions to make any sense of all the cast lists, which to my mind are the important bit of the book. Was that I did ponder in my mind a lot of what I've seen for a lot longer, whereas nowadays I stagger in and see performances and stagger away again and don't get to think of them as much as I did. But fare thee well, and thanks for inviting me, Camden. Cheery on.
Okay, Giles, good night.
He's gone. That was lovely.
Hi, Giles.
Well, it's still going strong. Like, he must be in his 80s now, surely.
All right.
Well,
Gotta
so
be.
but he. The funny thing is that he is older than we are, because he was older then. But then I remember him as somebody really old.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that worked, because when I think back, I would have sworn that Giles at that time was 60, but no way. He would have been like 40 or 30 or something.
Maybe it's because he was in Africa and the sun maybe made him look up, kind of wrinkled him up.
What?
What?
He went to Zimbabwe and he came back old and has always been old.
No, because he used to work there. He used to work in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, and come on.
He thought he was a teacher in Sierra Leone for years. So all that sun, you know, if he didn't wear his pith helmet, you know, and
maybe
lots of sunblock, then it would have made him look all really old.
His pith helmet and his khaki shorts. Khaki shorts. Yeah. Oh dear. And binoculars. All of that kind of stuff.
Yes, from whatever he was watching then to watching Fringe Theatre.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a joy or is that a punishment?
It's a fucking punishment. Fuck.
Whatever it was really good, I think, you know, for everybody. And what's interested me in finding out what he did before is that he was actually a history teacher, because I just assumed that he'd always been involved in theatre and knew a lot about theatre prior to, you know, being in Manchester and following the shows, but apparently not. So that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
That he developed that interest having moved to Manchester. Or he developed the whole thing about going to shows, perhaps. Maybe he had the interest, but he just didn't go to them when he was in Africa.
Maybe not. Yeah, it's interesting. I hope he comes again.
Yeah, defo.
I have seen some terribly dull things at the National.
Sure. I've only seen one.
And they don't have any
That was
excuse
all right, actually.
Yeah.
for it to be dull. They've
I've
got
seen
enough-
some good things there. I've seen some good things, but yeah, I mean, lately it's been really dull. But
I
Well,
saw
I've
the
se-
screening of Frankenstein with Benedict Cumberbatch, and that was actually the only thing I've seen, and that was good.
okay,
Yeah, they have done some good things, but in general, the stuff they do is not particularly interesting. And
Oh, that's the same as the Royal Exchange, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's-
I was just
Mhm.
about to say that. That's just like a lot of these bigger theatres are like that, aren't they? Surely, you know,
Yes.
you get it's random, but then it's random in Fringe Theatre, isn't it? You get some cracking stuff, and then you get some absolute dross.
yeah, but the thing is,
there's not a consistency, is there, Ricky?
exactly.
There's no
They kind of
wise word, isn't it? Camden, the wise word.
But you know,
There's
the
no
other
consistency in bread making either. I saw a program in Germany the other day about the art of fermenting the dough, and most of the bread we eat is shit. I mean, most of the English bread is shit anyway, and even the foreign German bread is as well. So it takes like 48 hours to do a good baguette.
yes. Anyway, moving on to talking about theatre.
yeah. Moving on to talking about theatre, I think that the problem with quite a lot of those large venues is that they aren't prepared to take the kind of risks which you can take in Fringe, because they can't take the risk because of the sort of audience that they're catering for, which is a degree of thought control in a way, because this has been going on for quite a long time, and they sort of define theatre in a particular way, which I find is unacceptable.
How
They're
do they
extreme-
define it?
They define it because often, historically, there has been the idea of the well-made play, and that determines a particular kind of storytelling, a particular kind of application of devices that are used for that storytelling. And I think that theatre got stuck in that vein because it delivers a particular sort of narrative that is grounded in a past, that is to do with the control of language. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Control of language, Ricky.
I beg your pardon?
What do you mean by what kind of control of language?
Well, it's particularly a control of particular sorts of narratives and dramatic structures which are used to put individuals in, for example, in opposition. They are derived from the Greeks and the Victorians, etc., etc. But fundamentally, theatre was defined through words and particular kinds of structures which were acceptable to tell particular sorts of stories. Okay? So it's about structure and language.
You're saying it's
And
upholding it.
I think it got stuck in the past.
Right, so it's about upholding something that is of the past.
That's exactly it. It is upholding certain values of the past.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's the problem I've always had with it.
Yeah.
Have you seen any productions of Harold Pinter's plays recently?
I haven't for a while, but I did direct one a few years ago, and somebody, strangely enough, actually said to me, "You can't do that with Pinter." And I said, I just did, mate.
What did you do?
I staged it so the audience are actually on the set, and I had a whole load of scaffolding boards in an old church, and I had the actors kind of breaking the whole space down. It was a bit mad and insane, and I broke the language up also, and they didn't like. Well, actually, it got great reviews, but a few of the audience literally said, "You can't do that with Pinter."
You can't. What
Yeah,
which
so
play
you
was
can't
it?
do that. The Caretaker.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm a big
There could be a few that
because
will.
I'm a big Pinter fan, actually.
Me too. Yeah.
Big Pinter, big Pinter fan.
Yeah.
I have to go, so I shall see you next time. Thank you for the invite, and it was great to see everybody.
It was
Bye.
extremely nice to see your nose and eyes for half of
This
this,
happened.
but that's all I've been able to see.
It's
is your
the new Zoom look, isn't it? Can I just show you? Whilst I can't be doing just the theatre all day long.
What are you
So-
going to show? Are you?
I'm going to show you the dog.
Oh, the dog. Oh well, if we get
Well, look,
into
this is
animals,
my
I'm going to
grandchild.
stop the recording on your dog. There we go. Let's have a
Oh.
shot of your dog, and that'll end the recording.
Winter,
Oh, he's lovely.
isn't he? Isn't he
Like
just? So
Einstein.
this is what I've come to look after. This is, I mean, Camden, you have a grandchild. I see your grandchild every now and then. I don't. I have a dog.
Yeah.
Dog child. There we go.
Here's a dog. Here's a dog.
Another dog. Oh, look at that, Winter. Look, is that your girlfriend, boyfriend, day friend? Oh, is that? Well, what's your dog?
He's Einstein.
Einstein. Okay, this is Winter. Winter meet Einstein.